All right, welcome back, everyone. It is Sunday sit-down time. I'm joined today by Brenden Schaeffer for KRTG's The Big Show and also KMOV's Cardinals beat writer. Brenden, thanks so much for being on today. Sorry it's not on a better note. Cardinals just lost earlier today. Let's talk a little bit about the series in Boston.
You know, the Cardinals didn't get it done in Boston, obviously losing 2 of 3. And I think it was a little bit of what you've typically seen from this team so far this season, where they'll have games where the offense just completely erupts for 11 runs like they did on Saturday. And then there's other games where it's more of a struggle. Now, give the Cardinals credit for at least trying to mount some rallies late in the games that they lost. But unfortunately, you saw with the relievers not able to keep it close enough for those rallies to actually make the difference. And so I think that's really a big part of the reason the Cardinals weren't able to win this series.
You mentioned Goldschmidt. May was definitely a big month for him with that 25-game hitting streak. He hasn't had a bad June so far, but any differences that you've seen so far in June?
You know, I don't think so. I think he's been pretty consistent with what he tries to do in his plate approach. I know that he had one at bat in this Boston series that he probably would have liked back. It was the game 1 when the Cardinals tried to get that rally going. He was up at the plate with the chance to be the hero, and he looked at that fastball down the middle. I think he was caught guessing slider a little bit in that spot on Friday. But no, I honestly think Goldschmidt is in a pretty good spot right now. He's got that consistent approach where if the pitches that he's seeing aren't to his liking, he's going to be willing to take his walks, do what's best for the team. And so I think he's still in a good spot and can be expected to be on that all-star trajectory moving forward.
Well, we got another big bat back in the lineup recently with Tyler O'Neill. Just having him back, I've seen a lot of big hits from him so far in the past 2 or 3 series. What do you think the importance is of having him back in that lineup?
Tyler O'Neill is a huge piece of what the Cardinals want to be able to do offensively. He led the team in OPS last year at .912, had really a breakout campaign where he finished in the top 10 in the MVP vote. He was really strong, and the Cardinals would love to be able to get him back to that place where he can be a consistent middle-of-the-order threat for their offense. However, on Sunday, he did kind of come up a little bit lame with a hamstring issue, I believe it was, and so we'll have to monitor and see what that looks like. Hopefully not another IL stint for O'Neill, because like you said, the Cardinals could really use him, and when he's going well, that's a big boost to the offense.
Like we talked about, the big talk of the year is the big 3 back in St. Louis. Kind of a magical year for them. Do you think that's kind of given the guys a little bit of an extra incentive to just bring it home for those guys that have been in St. Louis for so long? Yeah,
a lot has been made of the record chasing that Yadier Molina and Adam Wainwright are doing, trying to become the battery to make the most starts together in Major League history. It would be a major accomplishment. I think they're about 9 starts short right now. And then the fact that you bring Albert Pujols back into the mix to join those former teammates of him, have those guys all be teammates once again. And it's not just for ceremony. If you ask Albert Pujols, he always tries to take the conversation away from himself and on to the team, because this is a guy that, knowing he's going to retire after this year, would really like to go out with a World Series championship. I know that Yadi and Waino feel the same way, and so that has really allowed the team to have something to kind of rally around for those veteran players that would like to get to the top of the mountain one more time.
I know you talked to Natalie, I want to say 2 months ago, about just the title chances, and you were thinking that it's looking pretty good for the Cardinals to make that run. Are you still thinking that way, and what are you thinking the big obstacles and big opponents could be for them coming up?
You know, right now it's the Cardinals and the Milwaukee Brewers as really the only 2 teams that pose a threat in the National League Central. They're tied as we speak at 38 and 30 for first place. Both teams are looking like they'll probably make the playoffs, but one's going to be a wild card, and you definitely would like to lock that division down if you can do so. It gives you a big benefit when you get to the playoffs. I think for the Cardinals, the thing standing in their way, obviously Milwaukee would be an impediment, but I think within the own roster, it could be the back end of that bullpen. Behind the guys like Giovanni Gallegos, Ryan Helsley, and Genesis Cabrera, if the Cardinals can't find some more consistency from the rest of their relievers, that's going to make the job of the manager, Oliver Marmol, a little bit more difficult. He can't use those same 3 guys every night, and so I think it is going to be incumbent upon John Mozeliak in that front office to find some help for that bullpen.
Going into tomorrow, that divisional rivalry with Milwaukee, what do you think are the big things that the Cardinals need to get done in that to just come out of that 4-game series and kind of have an extended lead in the division?
Pitching is always going to be an important aspect of it, but the good news for the Cardinals going into this series is they've got some of their main relievers rested and ready to go. Didn't need any of their top guys for the series in Boston. And so I think it's just a matter of getting deep enough as far as the starting pitchers are concerned, 6-7 innings. But then really when you get up to that ballpark in Milwaukee, it does tend to play more toward the offenses. So finding that consistency on offense, getting your pitching staff 5 or 6 runs a day could lead to a very productive series for the Cardinals.
We've had Yachty out the past 2 games. How do you think the guys behind the plate have done just filling in for him?
You know, with Andrew Kisner, it's been a topic of conversation where Oliver Marmol has called for more from him offensively. But I think the reason for that has been behind the scenes. They've known that Yachty is ailing. Yachty is going into his 40th birthday here coming up, and they recognize that he's not going to be the durable player that he once was. And so it's going to be incumbent upon Kisner and maybe even the rookie Ivan Herrera, who we saw Sunday, to try and take a step forward offensively. On the defensive side, these guys do a good job, and the Cardinals are appreciative of the way they handle the pitching staff. But at some point, you'd like to get a little bit more offensive production from that position group.
Talking about defense, I feel like Edman has kind of been unstoppable at shortstop lately, making just crazy plays. What do you think about his performance so far this season?
Yeah, Tommy Edman has done a really good job. He started out maybe with moved down in the batting order when they thought maybe Dylan Carlson would be the leadoff hitter. Edman has shown just with a lot of persistence at the plate that he's worthy of being that leadoff hitter for this team. He's kind of taken that role back over. And then you mentioned defensively. It's pretty remarkable what he's been able to do. Started out as the team's second baseman. He was a Gold Glover at that position last year. But they said, listen, we've got this kid, Nolan Gorman. We need him to come up and be in our lineup, and second base is the position he can play. Can you make this move to shortstop? Tommy Edman is as cool as they come. He said, I've got this. And he's been able to prove that on the field in recent weeks, that he's handling the position switch really well.
Brenden, thank you so much for joining us. Just remind our viewers when they can tune in and listen to you guys on The Big Show.
Yeah, definitely. The Big Show airs on KTGR and KTGR.com weekdays from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. And we'd love to have you guys tune in.
All right. Well, thank you so much. And for everybody at home, we will be right back after the break.